Bang, bang, Southern Fried Gang. Bang, bang. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, we're going to do it a little differently tonight. There's too much good going on in the sports world for me not to pay attention to it. BYU currently up 12 points on Wisconsin. BYU a 6 seed, Wisconsin a 3 seed. We're going to lead off with some college basketball talk this evening, but as you know, I'm JD Wyatt, the Southern Fried Gentleman of Southern Fried Sports. Hopefully my internet is cooperating. We're going to get Southern Fried this evening as P Digits is already in the stream, as are 4 other people right now, or 3 other people. Oh man, yep. Chuck, he done stumbled up in here. Hopefully that back's feeling better, Chuck. You got something got you stumbling other than that back or that leg, whatever it was, I think it was you said. You hurt. Hopefully you feel better, man. But yeah, don't forget, y'all, GreenvilleSportsMedia.com, The Firm of Joust, Arden's Burger and Grill, Beef and Rib, W Energy. We just did a fantastic show the other night with the South Florida Tribune with Brian and Pensman. We had a blast, and Candy, of course. It was such a pleasure to be there with them, dude. We had a fun time. We had a Gamecock versus a Clemson Tiger, and then we all kind of ganged up on Pensman a little bit about Aaron Rodgers still not signing anywhere yet. It was funny. If you have not seen that episode, there's some shorts up, I think, on their page about it. But Chuck, P Digits, everybody's here. I know Poppy's probably out there listening somewhere. We're going to talk about some Gamecock baseball here in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, we're going to start off with college basketball. BYU 44-36 over Wisconsin. We have Auburn and Creighton. Ooh, that was a good game for a minute. That was a fantastic game for a minute. Auburn now has pulled away, though, 81-70. Sorry, I was looking to check the score there. We got Houston. Oof, they're up big on Gonzaga, 31-17. Texas Tech won over Drake. More than usual wives. I missed that one, P Digits. Hold on, let's get that one back. More than usual wives are cheering on the BYU team. They are the BYU Cougars. And we know that Zach Wilson played at BYU. And we've heard that he likes his Cougars. So there might be some truth to that. I don't know anything about the sister wives, though. We've got Brian in the house. Welcome in, Brian. But y'all, the one thing about college basketball, is it not the single best event of the year for March Madness? And the reason I say that is a lot of these teams, when you get into a single elimination scenario, you don't know what kind of team's going to show up. Yeah, I mean, normally the ones always win versus the 16s. But we've even seen here lately 15s upset 2s. We see Arkansas, a 10 on a run, just beat a 2. And so that it's just what you never know how some of these players can perform in the clutch when you get into those single elimination situations. And so to me, as many of those games that are packed in into 4 days, it to me there's just no better sporting event. I mean, yeah, I would put the Masters up there, the Super Bowl up there, obviously, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, those are just like singular events. You know, the Super Bowl. You got all the build up all day long, waiting to play the one game, and then you get the long halftime break in the middle of it. So I don't know that I would put the Super Bowl over March Madness. And then the same thing would go for college football playoffs. You know, yeah, they pack a couple of games in at the beginning, but for the most part, you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the national championship to happen. And that's another thing. Both of these national championships, though, are played on Monday night, the basketball and the football, and like late on the East Coast, 8, 9 o'clock. Most of us work real jobs. We ain't got time to stay up and watch those national championships. Now, the basketball game's shorter, so I'm more prone to stay up and watch the college basketball national championship rather than the football one. So, how would you guys rank it? How would y'all rank it? March Madness, Super Bowl, college football playoff, college football national championship, whatever you want to call it. How would you rank it? What would be your number one? Because to me, March Madness, the single elimination, the upsets that maybe wouldn't occur on a football field like ever. That to me is March Madness. And then not only that, we got people like Tom Izzo from Michigan State. Did y'all see this stat? 27 straight NCAA tournament appearances for Michigan State and Tom Izzo. He has made the tournament 27 out of his 30 seasons, which, quick math, that's 90%. If you can give me a basketball coach that's going to do half that, sign me up. Give me 12 out of 20. Give me 13, 14 out of 20. You ain't even got to be 90% making it to the tournament, Tom Izzo. If you give me someone like that coaching my basketball team. I'm a Gamecock fan. I mean, Lamont Paris, he might go on that kind of run. I doubt it, but maybe. I mean, who knows? You could step outside and get hit by a car in a little while. Who knows? So, I mean, who knows? We can't really predict how these things go. No, and you can't ever sleep on Izzo P digits. Dude, when I saw that stat for him the other day, 27 out of 30 appearances in the NCAA tournament, 27 straight. That's wild to me. Please give me, like I said, give me somebody that can bat half that clip. The Gamecocks don't make the tournament often. We just saw what happened to Clemson the other day. So March Madness, it's just, I mean, and then McNeese, they didn't do anything with Purdue. Purdue handled them well. Nobody's really talked about Purdue much, I don't feel like either. Let's see here. We got Gamecock Chuck. He's got college football playoffs 1, women's March Madness 2, men's March Madness 3, Masters, Stanley Cup, cricket tournament, bowling, and then the Super Bowl. You got me on that one. Let's see here. So, like I said, I would put March Madness 1. Let me see if I can rearrange your list a little bit. Because I would throw in, you can't forget NASCAR. You have to throw NASCAR in there too, Chuck. Well, NASCAR never hurts anybody. P Digits, he has to agree March Madness is the best. Second would maybe be Omaha, even though I love college football. Yeah, Omaha's up there too. College World Series would be up there. But those, it's still, I know it's baseball, so it's not single elimination, though. You can afford to have one bad game. And in this basketball tournament, you can't afford to have one bad game. You cannot, and right here, yeah, exactly, P Digits. Clemson got in. They had one bad half. Done. On one bad half. And so that's why, to me, March Madness, especially just how much is packed in to those few days. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're wall-to-wall basketball from 12 on Thursday basically until Sunday evening. And then not only that, they kicked up the women's, which I'll talk about the women's stuff here in a little bit as well. But yeah, they kicked up the women's stuff already. I can't keep track of it, really. I know Connecticut smoked Arkansas State, I believe it was. But I did have one more men's basketball tape before I get over to the women's. We got Mark in the house. What's up, fella? Appreciate you being here. Gamecock Chuck says College World Series is the best, especially when you win it all twice. So funny you mentioned that, Chuck. I'm definitely going to bring that up when I refer to my baseball talk here coming up in a little bit. Just one thing to stay tuned for. But here, let's get the rest of this college basketball talk out. So, did y'all see, of course, Arkansas upset St. John's? The 10 over the 2 that I mentioned earlier. And if you guys remember, John Calipari, when he took the Arkansas job, he had a meeting with his players. And he was like, yeah, I had a meeting with the team, and nobody was there. I had a meeting with the team, nobody was there. And for them to come from that moment to losing the South Carolina Gamecocks by 17 points, I think it was, Gamecock Chuck. For that team to go into the tournament, upset St. John's, won their first round matchup. I forgot who it is they even played. Anybody remind me? Who'd they even beat the other night? I completely forget. But the whole matchup between John Calipari and Rick Pitino, and of course, they had the most respectful, disrespectful conversation I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Mark. Arkansas beat Kansas in the first round. But anyways, so they were talking to Rick Pitino and John Calipari, and basically Pitino was like, yeah, we don't really have a relationship. He's like, I've got no animosity for the guy. I don't like the guy. I don't dislike the guy. I respect him, but I don't mess with him. We don't exchange pleasantries, if you will. And so to me, it just came across as the most passive aggressive, I respect the guy, but I don't respect the guy kind of thing. I don't know. It felt odd for sure. But then for John Calipari, though, to put together this team that he didn't have one when he first took the job, and to make it into the Sweet 16 after struggling through the SEC, that seems wild to me. And did too many SEC teams get in, by the way, y'all? I think so. I think there was like too many. Too many. I mean, we've seen what Chattanooga's done. Michigan, I think, winning the Big Ten was severely underseeded. St. John's was way overseeded. I mean, I just think the committee missed in a lot of ways. I think they whiffed several spots, seeding teams that should have gotten in that didn't, teams they put in that shouldn't have been there. Until there's no athletic directors on the committee, that's not going to happen. It won't happen. Mark says he agrees, and he likes the Gamecocks sometimes too, and he even agrees. It was too many in the SEC. I think they could have done a little better job selecting some of them. And then the whole other rule with the NIT, where your top 2 teams that don't get into the tournament make the NIT, and South Carolina and LSU have to decline the invitation because why? Why would you go play? You just had an atrocious season. Just go home, lick your wounds, don't play. No need to. Arkansas, they're backed by 2 different mafia families. I'm assuming that's what MAF means. But yeah, they do have Tyson. Arkansas does have Tyson Chicken. So yeah, they were able to go out and buy some players. He even had the one European player who didn't know what Providence was. And John Calipari had to tell him that it was in the United States. He's like, it's like a 2-hour flight. Don't worry, you're good. We're not flying you back across the Atlantic or anything. Gamecock Chuck, we already had 3 lost to the portal, and more to come probably. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck, Donati, after he was hired, and Lamont Paris had a sit down to discuss NIL and what they can do to possibly help the basketball program get in a better spot. Eli Ellis, actually, he retweeted something to someone about hopefully he's doing some recruiting, and he retweeted and quoted and said they got some things in the works. So Eli Ellis is out there spreading a little Gamecock gospel, trying to lure some players to come and play with him. Obviously, I think that should work. I'm good with Lamont Paris still. I mean, to lose such close games, they had injuries. Could the coaching have been better? Maybe. I don't know. I think the roster needs to be better, which is what I'll mention later on with Gamecock Baseball coming up here, probably in about 15 minutes or so. We'll probably zoom through the next few topics. But like I said, I did have a women's basketball take. We'll go ahead and get that one out while we're talking college basketball. Could we just shrink down the women to 32 teams and it be perfectly okay? When you see the Gamecocks favored by 45 points and cover that spread, you might have 32 too many teams in the women's basketball March Madness tournament. I know it would rob a lot of ladies of that experience, which is a tragedy. But based on the competition of it, it would have to be whittled down. I mean, 48 maybe 48. Maybe don't cut it in half. But you could cut it by 16 teams, I think, and just figure out something. P Digits, he says 20. Brian Pettit, he says he could see that. P Digits, he also says he likes Paris. I don't know if he meant Lamont or Paris, France, though. He probably meant France. Gamecocks did beat Clemson in basketball this year. And football. I don't want to talk about baseball. But the other women's game was Connecticut. Oh my goodness. 34-5 after the first quarter. 34-5. And then it was like 2-11, I think, a half or something like that. Give me a mercy rule or something, or cut down the teams, women. Give me a mercy rule, cut down the teams. I don't know what you can do to do that, but you got to try something. It's too many. Speaking of too many, a lot of people would probably say that NASCAR runs too many laps. Y'all hold up for 30 seconds. We'll be right back. We're going to switch over to NASCAR. Alrighty. So NASCAR, y'all. I know a lot of you may not care about it very much. However, Kyle Larson was attempting to do something that hasn't been done in quite some time, which would be the weekend sweep. Last night during the truck race, he spun out with 35 laps to go. Restarted in like 20th place. He was able to drive all the way back up to the front and win the race in less than 35 laps. He was running over a second faster than everyone else to finish the race. Corey Haim's engine magically just stopped working for some reason, shut off going down the backstretch, or else Kyle Larson wouldn't have caught him. But he did, and he won, and a win is a win. Fast forward to today, Kyle Larson leads the most laps in the Xfinity race. Late caution comes out. Restart. Doesn't get a good restart. He ends up not winning the race. So he will not be able to go for the weekend sweep. But the drive that he made yesterday in that truck was absurd. He also, today in the Xfinity race, was the fastest racer to ever start outside the top 15 and lead a lap within 30 laps of the race starting. It had never happened. Kyle Larson is the most ridiculous race car driver on the face of the planet right now. He made the Indy 500 run last year. He drives sprint cars, late models. He is ridiculous behind the wheel of any race car. P Digits. I think the guy that got unfairly crashed last week should be able to run the next race turning right. I like seeing cautions, P Digits. I like seeing bumping and racing. So I'd be okay with it. Of course, all within safety. Because you know NASCAR. NASCAR all about their driver safety these days. So they say. Just depends on what the narrative is. Or who's leading when the caution comes out. It was. Justin Allgaier, though, he did end up winning the race. He had just hit the wall like 10 laps prior to. He had just hit the wall and won the race. And, of course, he's Junior Motorsports, so we're all a fan of Junior Motorsports. And that is about all of the NASCAR talk I had, though. But, yeah, Kyle Larson, he's really good at racing. Let's see, BYU 47-36. Looks like they are about to come off of halftime. Let me see if I can find some other scores on college basketball. Nope, not right now. I can't. That's all right. We'll check in on that in a minute. All right. Here's the one I was avoiding. Gamecock baseball. I told y'all I was going to talk about it. And I'll tell you what. We'll start really interesting. I'm going to give you a few of the tweets that I read after the Gamecocks have lost to Arkansas 12-0 yesterday and 12-3 today. This is from Jack Veltri. He covers Gamecock baseball. If you make a bad pitch, you're going to pay for it. If you don't make a play, you're going to pay for it. South Carolina fell behind today immediately 8-0 in the first inning and was never able to recover. This is another one. People didn't want Landon Powell, and rightfully so. His resume lacks a lot. But could it have been worse? At least if we hired him, we would have a young, fiery, passionate about the university coach with tons of room to grow. I was big on Landon Powell and still wish we had hired him. Sad days. All right, here's another one. The Gamecocks are sucking the life out of me right now. We've got to salvage a win tomorrow because this is an embarrassing showing in Fayetteville. Last Sunday's blown lead is just stinging more and more. Need a Sunday rally. And then there's another one about if Paul Mainieri can't right the ship, he should be fired. And let me tell you guys this. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. We are literally 5 weeks into the season, and you're already ready to fire a first-year head coach. He didn't get any of his players in. Who do we have? Ethan Petrie? Okay, name me one other possible MLB prospect on that roster. Yeah, sure, some of them may have been drafted, but they're in college for a reason. And I've even seen posts today saying, oh yeah, these guys should start looking for other careers outside of baseball. None of them can even play. But here's what I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say Paul Mainieri should be fired 5 weeks into his first year. Now, if it goes poorly the rest of this year and then carries into next year and we start out this very same way after he gets some of his players in and gets a transfer portal cycle, maybe then, yeah, I'll start to question a little bit. But even then, I don't think it'll be ready to say, I'm going to fire the guy. You know what I mean? Like, when you hire a coach, it's got to be for 3 years. At least. That should be the amount of time that it takes for someone to build a program. Get their players in. Set their culture. But what did y'all expect, Gamecocks? Y'all thought Palmineri was going to come in and we going back to Omaha and winning a national championship? No. If you thought that, I'm sorry, but no. Don Staley didn't win that early. Shane Beamer didn't win that much that early. I mean, we're talking about national championship. Yes, that's the caliber of play that the Gamecocks should play. But it's going to take a minute to get back. It's going to take a second. We can't start screaming, fire the coach 5 weeks into it. What I would like to see is get back to recruiting the state of South Carolina. Because when we had our glory days, most of the dudes were from South Carolina. And I know that because I played against a lot of them. Kyle Enders, catcher, national champion, played against him. He played for Riverside High School. I played for Clinton. Michael Roth also pitched at Riverside, played against him. National championship winning pitcher. Adam and Drew Crisp, shortstop outfielder. Brad Chalk, who played at Clemson. I played against all these dudes. I know how good they were. Scott Wingo from Malden. Matt Price, pitcher. Look them up. Every one of them were on that national championship team. I played against them. I know how good they were. If you look up and down the roster now for South Carolina, there's not that many South Carolina players on there. Do what Shane Beamer does. Put a wall around the state. I know for a fact Clemson had a pitcher from Woodruff, South Carolina, right down the road from me, pitch today. I know there's players in South Carolina. You got to start getting them back to South Carolina. Gamecock Chuck, he mentions Blake Cooper, Nice, South Carolina. What is that, the only one from South Carolina we have, Chuck? Brian says, first thing you got to do is fire Monty Lee. He's done the same thing at Clemson and South Carolina. I honestly thought they were going to hire him as the head coach. I did. I didn't want to retread. I can't say that I was ecstatic about Maneri at first either. That's the thing about a Gamecock fan, though. Whatever your first 3 coaching hires are, your first 3 choices, check them off. You're not getting them. They're not coming to South Carolina. So you might as well just check every one of your top 3 choices off the list. Oh, Blake Cooper. He was a pitcher from the national championship years. I can't say I ever played against him. I couldn't even tell you where Nice, South Carolina is, I don't think, Chuck. Yeah. Monty Lee, P. Digit says he thinks he was, or figured he was the coach in waiting. Yeah, I kind of did too. I didn't want them to hire him. But he's kind of the only reason we kept some of the recruits we had. Shoot, I don't know. We might be worse if we hadn't kept some of those recruits. Oof. I mean, we have won non-conference games, and we won 1 SEC game. But I've told y'all before, I don't see us winning more than 8 to 10 this year. But again, I still will not say fire Paul Maneri. Not this soon. Like, stop it, people. Stop. Like, anybody who says that, anybody who thinks that, stop it. Just Come on. No, look, put your rain boots on because we're in the mud. Okay. We're here now. It's what we've got. You got to give it at least 3 years. Unless the wheels just absolutely come off next year, which I'll be the first one to crow at that point and be like, nah, we got to get rid of this dude. Nope, got to go. But it's a whole year away. We got lots more to worry about between now and then. So just for this year, pay attention to Gamecock softball. Pay attention to the women's tournament. Let's see if we can make a run in either sport. Right now, we are a women's sport school. And I keep seeing these fake posts about Dawn Staley too. So I saw one, somebody told me it was fake about her tipping like $1,000 or something. It was like this whole heartwarming story about it. Someone told me that was false information. And then I saw that Elon Musk today donated $10 million to Dawn Staley and the women's program, and I'm like, no, that can't be true. And of course, everybody's like, no, this is not true. This is false. Blah blah blah. I don't understand why people put out false information. It makes no sense. Converse? What do you want to converse about, P Digits? Or were you saying the converse? Because we've been conversating. What's on your mind, P Digits? You got a sports take you want to get out? But yeah, anyways, like I said, we're a women's sports school at the moment for the Gamecocks. Just enjoy it. Support the women. Buckle up for baseball. I don't know what else to tell us at this point. I mean, it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough year. Mark says firing Maneri is a terrible idea. I completely agree. At this point, so, all right, here's the key to building any roster. Starts with football, starts with baseball, starts with basketball. You got to build yourself up the middle. So if you've got strong center play and guard play in basketball, you're probably going to be pretty good. In football, if you build yourself on the interior lines, the quarterback position, linebacker, up the middle, running back, you're probably going to be pretty good. Same thing goes for baseball. Pitchers, catchers, shortstop, second base, center field. You got to build your roster up the middle. And right now, the Gamecocks don't have the players. They just don't. Like I said, give Maneri some time. Give him this portal cycle. Give him this signing class. Let's see if he can get the roster better for next year. Because like I said, we're in it now. We're in the mud. Put your rain boots on. Like Mark says right here, firing him is a terrible idea. That's exactly what I just told y'all. It's an awful idea. Gamecock Chuck. The women's softball team has taken 2 from number 12 Texas Tech, going for the sweep tomorrow. Exactly. I'm pretty sure they're ranked number 10 in the country, the women's Gamecock softball team. I'm pretty sure they're ranked number 10. So, yeah. Oh, okay. I got you, P Digits. I got you. Yeah, I think the Gamecocks women's softball team, though, is ranked number 10. And, yeah, pay attention to the women's sports for now, Gamecock fans. P Digits, he was, oh, yeah, Converse College. Gotcha. Now, I think it's Converse University now. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't questioning women's sports per se, but I was saying pay attention to them. Definitely pay attention to them. I don't know how much of a draw Converse has, though. You threw me off with that one, P Digits. I understand what you're saying, though. I did mention women's sports, but maybe I forgot something I said there. Anywho, BYU 56-51 over Wisconsin. UCLA, Tennessee, I think is going to be a sneaky good game getting started right now. Houston leads Gonzaga 43-34. And with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, tell a friend, help me out. We are at 191 subscribers. We have 7,000 views for the week on the YouTube channel. Don't forget that South Florida Tribune show we had Thursday night. It was quite hilarious. We had it here on my channel as well. You can go back and check it out there. I appreciate all of you guys being here, commenting. P Digits, Chuck, Mark, Brian, Poppy, everybody in between. For Greenville Sports Media, South Florida Tribune, I am the Southern Fried Gentleman of Southern Fried Sports. Y'all have a good night. Be blessed, not stressed. And go fry something up. Have a good evening. Watch some basketball.